Hi, Dana. Hi, Kathleen. Welcome. Oh, there you are. You moved on me.
Oh,
You know how Zoom does that sometimes? You're looking over here and then,
yes.
hi, Dana. I'm Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
How did you find out about this workshop?
My sister-in-law, Kathleen O'Hara.
Oh, Kathleen. Is she coming?
I don't know. She just told me that I would benefit from this. We both lost some dear people, and yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I hope that this turns out to be a good place for you to be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I trust that it is.
I hope so too, yeah. And hi, Kathleen, I can see you're here, but you're muted. If you want to unmute and say hi, that's great. If you don't, that's also fine. And hi, Joe.
Hello, darling.
Oh, you have such a wonderful accent. Where are you from?
I'm in Australia.
Oh, another Australian. Rafina's from Australia.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, darling.
I love that. Welcome.
Thank you.
And for anybody who doesn't want to unmute or be on video, we also have the chat. If you wanted to join the chat, feel free. I want everyone to be as comfortable as possible. Sonia! Whoops, you're muted. If you want to unmute, feel free. Do you know how? There you are.
Okay.
Good
Hello.
to see you. I'm glad
Thanks
you're
for
here.
having me. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
I was just saying to everybody to be as comfortable as you want. If you want to be on video, I love it when people are on video. It's so great for me, but I also, lots of times I like to be on calls and just lurk. So I also understand that. So whatever is the most comfortable for people. Hi, I'm not sure if your name is Sales, but you're coming up as Sales. So I'm going to call you Sales. Hello. Welcome. I hope you guys are okay. I'm going to give it just an extra minute or so. I like to try and start on time, but I know that there are a number of other people that I'm expecting. They may not be able to come at the last minute, but maybe I'll give them just another minute. Oh, Beth, you came on video. Hi. Good to see you. So again, oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks for your note. I like your picture anyway, so we'll just get to look at your, well, I was gonna say we'll look at your pretty picture, but I guess we don't know if that's you. I'm gonna assume it is. And again, as people are coming on, just feel free if you want to be on video, if you want to be unmuted, that's great. If you prefer neither or one or the other, that's great too. I do have the chat open and we can connect that way. We'll probably start in just a minute. Sonia, where are you from? Where do you live?
I am in northern Minnesota.
Oh, I like the way you said that, like it was a secret. Oh, hi, Loretta. Hi. Is it nice there right now? Do you have a good summer?
Well, it's actually about to rain, but otherwise, yes. Yes, it's very woodsy and outdoorsy and lakes and trees and
Very nice.
it's home.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Beth, where are you from?
I am from Youngstown, the Youngstown, Ohio area. I'm about 6 miles west of the Pennsylvania border.
Beth, I grew up in Brookfield, Ohio.
Oh.
Stop it. I grew up in Liberty.
How do we know each other? Or maybe we don't.
We probably don't, but I'm a Trumbull County girl.
Me too. That's so fun. Usually no one knows where that is when I tell them.
Sure. I live in Mahoney County now. I'm in Poland, but yeah. I'm a Youngstown girl.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
My mom is still in Brookfield.
Nice.
And if we didn't have a pandemic, I would have been there for a couple weeks this summer, but
Aw.
I know. I know. I know. And Dana, where are you?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, that's a nice place to be.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
And Ms. Loretta, hello, hello. Tell us where you're from, even though I know where you're from, but you're muted.
Okay, sorry. South Jersey by the Jersey Shore.
I love it. And wait, I forget what's it called? Remember? Oh, the Pine Barrens, right?
Yes, I actually live in the Pine Barrens. So it's by,
Wow.
if anybody knows the Jersey Shore, it's by LBI. So it's only about, I guess, 45 minutes from Cape May, which is really the end of New Jersey. But I'm really from Bergen County, 10 miles over the George Washington Bridge. So
The reason that I know that Loretta's from the Pine Barrens is once I was reading a poem, which is a beautiful poem called The Metaphysicians of South Jersey. And they mentioned the Pine Barrens. And Loretta was like, I'm in the Pine Barrens. I love that moment. Well, I think since you guys are all here and on time and so wonderfully, oh wait, and one more person, let me let her in. Bev. Does everyone have paper and a pen with you? Everybody's got something to write on? And if you don't, oh, there goes Dana.
Your
Yeah,
template is beautiful.
pardon me?
The template that you created
Oh,
is beautiful.
you're so sweet.
I love it. I love the tree with the heart. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
If anybody didn't download it, you can download it later. Bev, can you hear me? I see you just joined us. I just wanted to say hi. You're muted if you're trying to talk. Thank you guys for being here. It's so lovely to see you. I'm Sherry Reichert-Ballou.
Oh,
Oh.
here we go.
Hi, Bev.
Hey. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Bev, tell everybody where you're from. We just did a little bit of a, where's everyone from?
Oh, right now where we grew up.
Right now, smack at this moment.
Oh, Cary, North Carolina, near Raleigh.
Welcome, Bev.
Thank you, Sherry.
Looks like it's kind of dark there already.
It's threatening to rain, I think. I'm gonna go back out on the porch. David, I'm on a conference call, so I can't talk to you. Sorry.
Bye, David. We can't talk. We're very busy. Welcome everyone. And again, I'm Sherry Reichert-Ballou, and I am so grateful to Reimagine for hosting their festival. Have any of you been to other Reimagine events? Yeah. Beth, what have you been to?
No.
Oops, I'm gonna mute. Oh, that's Bev, is that you?
Yeah, it was the music on the TV. I'm going out on the porch.
All right, I'm just gonna mute you while Beth is sharing with us. What?
Claire Bidwell Smith. I've been to a couple of her holding space. I think it's called Holding Space, and she has she had Jason Rosenthal, and she's going to be having Dr. BJ. I can't remember his last name.
Oh, Miller.
Yes. I have been to. I've been to some Saturday morning like meditation. I can't remember her name either. But
Oh.
yeah, the several.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful group.
It really is.
And usually I'd go over the housekeeping first, but, oh, and yeah, Joe says, oh, that's nice. Yeah, Joe's been to quite a few. I usually start with the housekeeping, but I just feel like starting with their motto, because this is hosted under their festival, and I love this group. So here's what their Reimagine motto is. Reimagine envisions a world in which we are all able to reflect on why we're here, prepare for a time we won't be, and live fully right up until the end. It's so beautiful. And during this particular, the workshop I'm offering is part of their COVID-19 festival. And so at the start of everyone's events, which those of you who have attended events have likely heard this, is a beautiful passage. There is no life without death, no love without loss. They are in constant complementary motion. But never before in our lives has the world stood so still. In the face of distance, illness, and isolation, we are here together, reimagining a changed world. Kinder, slower, more just. We are reimagining the giving and receiving of love, the cycles of loss and new beginnings, and what it means to be fully alive. We are here. So beautiful. And it's wonderful to read that last line, we are here, and to see all of you and to just feel so grateful. I know, there's so many other things people could be doing, and I'm so grateful that you chose to be here with me now. And I just wonder, I feel like people have been on Zoom enough. Does anybody need any instructions about how to unmute or how to do anything? It seems as if what I'd really love is for you all to feel that you know how to unmute so that you can talk when you want to. I'm very informal. And I'm just going to assume you all do. You all look like you know what you're doing. But if you have questions, just post it in the chat. So I wanted to just start quickly, not take up a lot of time with my own story, because I really want to get to making our love list together. But just to give you a little bit of background, especially for those that I'm meeting for the first time, which is that many years ago, probably 30 years ago now, I was extremely depressed and was living with suicidal thoughts for quite a while. And for a long time, I was just really just wanting off this planet. And a lot of it was just my own sort of bad thinking, self-hate, just, always feeling as if I wasn't living up to who I should be, or I wasn't quite living the life that I was supposed to be living, I was really influenced a lot by social convention, and I never quite matched up to how I should be in the world. And so for me, one of the things that actually really literally saved me was doing what we're going to be doing today. I don't know how it came in, just like by grace, the idea to start making lists of why I love people. And it quickly became apparent to me that when I was immersed in focusing on why I loved people, that I wasn't feeling the depression. And it would all come swooping back in afterward. But it was very apparent to me that there was that being immersed in love felt like joy. It really did, even in the midst. And so some of you have worked with me, and some of you know I often use an expression, pinpricks of light. And making a love list is like a lot of little pinpricks of light. And the reason I call them that is because when I was depressed, it was like this iron wall just closing in on me. And that's what I couldn't stand. And that's what I wanted out of. But when I got that vision about a little pinprick of light, which was just a tiny moment of joy or love, it changed everything for me. It wasn't solid, right? Like, so, I often use the metaphor of nightlight too, because it's like when we're in the pitch dark and there's one single light, it changes everything. And that's why for me, these love lists are a way of bringing light, no matter how dark it seems at the moment. And I know that, the people that are here, we might be in very different places. Some people may be grieving someone right now, and it can feel completely pitch dark. Sorry, someone was just coming in. And so there might be that sense of that iron wall closing in, because grief can feel like that. And we're not quite in that place, but maybe we're just feeling lonely or lost or depressed. There's so many difficult emotions going on right now. Hi, Lana. I hope I'm saying your name okay. And so for me, and if you've read, anything that I've written in describing this particular workshop, it's also that I really believe that celebration and grief are two sides of the same coin. That the grief, the deep, deep grief that we can feel for people that we've lost, who have passed away, or we've, been divorced from, or no longer, in our lives, that the other side of that is the deep love that we have for that person, that it's a depth of connection. And so my hope is that by making the love lists, it brings us to that side of, the honoring, the love, the celebration, even in the midst of whatever grief might also be there. And whenever I do these workshops, I choose someone different to do myself, so that I can sort of go along with you and participate. And I actually chose someone today that it's my maternal grandmother. And we did not have a great relationship. My maternal grandmother was racist and very, very negative. And I think she was just very unhappy all her life. And she took it out on her children, my mom particularly. And I made her some love lists when she was still alive, but that was a long, long, long time ago. And I realized it would be really helpful to make her one. And this is one of the things that I love about the love list, is it's really to come up with new ways to love and new ways to honor people who have passed away, even when the relationships may not be, quite what we had wanted. So I wanted to bring that into the conversation, because sometimes when people are making their love lists, it's not all, positive. The relationships may not be all positive. There might be stuff that comes up that feels hard, or and that's okay. I guess I just wanted to say that that's okay. So I think it'd be really great, whoever wanted to, and again, there's really no pressure to do this, but if anybody's willing to share who you want to make your love list for today, it can really be a wonderful thing to sort of hold that for each other when people want to, when it's something that feels comfortable to you. And so maybe I'll just put it out there right now. Is there anybody who's willing to share a little bit about the person you're making your love list for? Rafina, you're muted though. Can you unmute?
I'd like to do one for my sister.
Can you tell us a little about your sister?
The relationship is very strained at the moment. She's around, but it's very strained, and I know she's going through a difficult time, but I don't know how to reach her.
Ah, that's so beautiful. What a beautiful thing. So your relationship is a little bit strained, and she's going through a difficult time, but you want to maybe do this. Maybe this is a way to reach her.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So what's her name?
Daphne.
Daphne?
Yeah.
Daphne. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, hi, Kathleen. Thank you for sharing that. Kathleen shared in the chat that she is doing this for her husband, Richard, who passed away in October 2018. Thank you, Kathleen. If you want to post his name, that'd be lovely. If you don't, that's okay too, but it'd be nice to know. I always kind of feel like we kind of bring people into the circle a little bit, Oh, Richard, you said his name. It's right there. Thank you, Kathleen. Bev.
Thank you to Daphne because, and Loretta knows the background story in this, but my son has basically estranged himself from his entire family. So when she said what she did, or what she wants to do, I was thinking, oh, I could do it for my son Matthew.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
But she brought that up for me, so thank you.
I love that. I love that's one of the things that is so beautiful. Like Rafina, you probably didn't know when you said that, but that it would.
I'm sorry, I said her name wrong.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's her sister's name is Daphne. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That is so beautiful. And thanks, Bev, for sharing that. What's your son's name? Matthew?
Matthew.
And Dana, I just saw your note. That is a darn good question. Dana just said, I don't know what you mean by a love list. And I realized I kind of went totally off book. I was just so happy to see all you guys, and I just didn't feel like going through all my notes. But that's a really important point. So thank you. A love list, I started to tell you, and then I completely got off topic. So when I was really depressed, I started making lists of reasons why I love people. And I called them a love list. I just started making them all the time. And they're specific reasons why we love someone. And they're going to be different. Each one is very different. I've made hundreds of them in my life. And the majority of them have been for people who are alive, and I give them to them as gifts, or I just give them to them just because. But they can obviously be for someone who's alive or not alive. And so what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to walk you through some prompts to make one for someone. So that's why I asked who you wanted to celebrate or honor today, because we'll be working with just one person in your mind, and that I'll give you some prompts that we'll make the list for. Does that help? Yeah. And you'll definitely, as we go, you'll understand. Yeah. Oh, and Lana, am I saying your name? I don't know if it's it's Lana or Lana, but thank you. Lana just posted Grandma and my son's father, Peggy and Bob. Oh, Grandma just passed and Dad is going soon. Are they a couple? That's so sad. And tell me, they're not, no, okay. Am I saying your name right? Is it Lana or Lana? Or you can let me know. Anybody else want to share? Beth?
I did, about my son Matthew.
Oh, Beth, I'm sorry, Beth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sometimes that's what people think I say.
Yeah.
I am doing my list for my mom. I lost my mom on March 23rd, and I'm having significant challenges with this process of grief and going through some depression. And so I'm making an effort to help myself keep her memory alive and honor her, and just make it meaningful. And this seemed like a perfect way to do that.
Oh, Beth, I'm sorry. That's so soon. Yeah.
And her name is Becky.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you. My mom's name is also Becky.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, I know. And I love that you chose to be here and do this. And I hope that that's what happens. I mean, it's been my experience over and over again that it does really help. But I guess we'll just see for each person. But
I think it's worth it regardless. So.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And yeah, one thing I didn't say that my father-in-law Norm died about 5 years ago, and I often think of him when I do this particular workshop, because Norm was just like one of the best people on earth. And he's someone that we made a lot of things for him like this when he was alive. We made love lists. We made him like books of photos and, favorite memories. We made him videos. And having all of those things now, even though we gave them to him as gifts and really weren't thinking about it at the time, but having all of those artifacts and love lists and memories is just, it's so healing. So whenever, oh, Beth, your kitty. Talk about healing. Oh, and Bev's kitties usually join us too. I love that.
Right. They're on the porch, but they're on the floor.
But it's so healing to have these things to go through, and his spirit comes to life. And this is the thing that I feel is so important. Our culture, at least in the United States, and I know there are a couple of you know, who aren't from here, but, and maybe it's different, but here, it's so bizarre around grief that oftentimes people are just like, you know, they'll talk to you about it for the first month or so, and then it's like they're done. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to bring up people's names. And to me, I always found that telling stories and sharing the things that I love about someone, it makes me feel close. It makes me feel like, and that's why I named this Love Never Dies, because it doesn't. The love we feel doesn't die, and our connection to the person doesn't die. I just think that we need some sort of, which is why I love Reimagine so much, because I feel like what they're trying to do is to start a different conversation about death and dying, and to the way that they connect it with living fully, I think speaks to what we're doing here. So anybody else want to share who you're making your list for? Sonia, and then Dana.
Hey, I'm making my love list also for my mom. She passed away 4 years ago after an 11-year battle with dementia, early onset advanced dementia.
Wow.
So yeah, it was quite the journey, and I've actually had a lot of connection. I've felt that with her all along, and for you, Beth, I don't know if it was dementia or not, but I saw you put your hand on your chest. I just feel like, you know, the pain in a way, I wanted to feel that pain, because I felt like that ache I would feel in my heart, that squeeze, I almost took that as a physical, like what a hug felt like now, you know, just that heart burst. So I hope that helps you somehow.
Oh, Sonia, that's beautiful. I'm never going to forget what you just said about that. That's so beautiful to think about. Did you want to share your mom's name with us?
Jeannie.
Jeannie?
Yeah.
Is that why you have, is that why it's part of your name?
Yep. Her name is actually Jean, Jeanne, but everyone who knew her loved her and called her Jeannie. Jeannie May.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing her in.
Yeah.
Dana.
Hi there.
Hi.
I was thinking that I would be doing this list over my late husband that I lost 2 years ago, but I realized that this is going to be about my father that I lost in October. He had been dealing with Parkinson's for many, many, many years. It's been about 11 years, and he's been in hospice for about 3 years. But I am doing this list for him.
Oh, do you want to share your father's name?
Yes, Kenneth.
Kenneth.
Kenneth Hugo Pape.
Wow. That's a great name. That's a strong name, huh?
Yes, he had a lot of accomplishments in his life.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Loretta, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to share?
Yes, and I wasn't really going to, but it seems to be a little bit of a theme, is that I'm writing it from my aunt, my mother's sister, who I was extremely close to, and she passed from Alzheimer's. And she has 2 children who live in Ohio, but she was by me in New Jersey, very close, very, you know, less than a mile. So yeah, so it is a long goodbye, a
Oh,
very long goodbye.
oh, Loretta.
But she was the pinprick of my life all the
Oh, so sweet. What is her name?
well, her real name's Elizabeth, but she was Aunt Betty to me. So,
Aunt Betty. We'll just call her Aunt Betty if she doesn't mind.
you know, I guess Betty.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did anyone else want to share either, I think Kathleen and Dana. Yeah, maybe. So let's get started, shall we? And the process is that what I'm going to do is just give you a prompt, and then I'll give you a little bit of time. And there's no right way to do this. I really want to stress that it's not about how you write it or your grammar or, getting it right. To me, what I think is just the most important piece is just that you're here and that whatever drops in is the perfect thing right now. My experience with doing these lists is that sometimes when I start them, nothing comes, and I think, oh, what's going on? And then later on, things will drop in. Or sometimes at the beginning, a lot of things will drop in and they don't even have anything to do with the prompt. And that's okay too. So just let it be however it feels right to you. Some people like to write in complete sentences. Some people just put phrases. I guess just the main thing is just to just be here and be with your feelings and be with what comes up. And we'll see how it goes. Any questions before we get started? Okay. So our first prompt is that I just want you, actually, let's have you all close your eyes and just imagine your loved one's face. Just imagine that you're seeing them right in front of you. And the first thing that comes into your mind about what you love about this person and what makes them so unique. It could be something about the impact they had on you. And as soon as anything starts dropping in, feel free to just write. If one thing comes, if more than one, again, if nothing comes, that's fine. But the things about them that just instantly you're like, oh, yeah, I just love that about that person. And as you're writing, I'm just going to say that what just dropped in for me about my grandmother, Eva, is even though she was so unhappy and had a lot of issues in her life, she loved her garden. And so whenever I first think of her, I think of her beautiful garden and how she was so proud of her flowers. And it's such a beautiful thing to remember. Dana. Oops, you're muted.
There we go. Figured it out. My father, the first thing I thought of is he's just such a sweet person. I mean, just really, really beautiful soul. Not a bad bone in his body. But you had also made me realize that my father collected nutcrackers. He's got one of the largest nutcracker collection in the world. With over 8,500 nutcrackers in South Texas.
That's amazing.
For years, my stepmother's like, he's going to break us. He won't go off eBay buying more nutcrackers, and he'd never sell any of them. But yeah, over 8,500 nutcrackers. He's got a museum in South Texas.
So the things that you wrote, how about how just he doesn't have a bad bone in his body, right?
No.
Yeah. And that you love that he collected nutcrackers.
Yes. So there's a very sweet man, and that was his joy in life.
You know, and I think this is, first of all, thank you so much for jumping in and sharing, because it's one of the things, like, for me, I love when people feel like sharing what they write, because instantly, oh, tell me his name again. You done?
Kenneth Hugo Pape.
Kenneth. So instantly, like, we know so much about your dad, right? Just from those two things. And I don't know about other people, but I just hear that and I think, I want to know this man, right? This man who collected all these nutcrackers and such a sweetness to him. It's like
Everybody loved him.
right, and we get the chance to fall in love with him too, and it's such a gift, such a gift. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would anyone else want to share anything that they just wrote down? Deb, did you just unmute?
Am I on mute?
Yeah, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Just listening
Okay.
and thinking.
I would.
Yeah, Sonia, I'd love to hear.
I'll share. Just the words that kind of come to my mom to describe her in a nutshell is just, she just has this joyful sparkle. It's kind of funny. She started a women's singing group at our church, like when I was young, and they named themselves Sing We Joyfully, because there's a old song called Sing Ye Joyfully. So they were Sing We Joyfully. And it's just joyful was her whole aura, like nothing was a problem, like ever. And she dealt with my two older brothers. Like, I don't know how she did it.
That is so beautiful. It's so beautiful that when you think of her, joyful is like the first thing. And also that memory of the women's group, right?
Yes.
Like, again, to me, it's like, this is the thing I love too, that the specificity of the love list, like, it's just like that, like, the name is so beautifully, you know, clever and fun and full of lightheartedness too. So that even speaks to her, about her.
And all of us, and I guess what I'll add, and I think really important for those of us whose loved ones were impacted by an illness, is I like kind of remembering the earlier times. So when I brought up about, you know, the Sing We Joyfully group, all of a sudden I'm like back into being a little kid and watching them perform, or even as an adult feeling so good that she took care of herself and had that social commitment and, like, you know, left me once a week for a few hours to go practice. And I'm so glad that she did that.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember like laying in her bed under her old reading light, and just all of that kind of got brought up right now. And like the memories are there. We just have to dig a little bit.
Well, yeah, thank you. You know, because you've really, and by being willing to share, you just expressed something that's so true, right? I usually think of it as sort of like opening a door, you know, like you just open the door and then slowly things will come in. And sometimes they come in little packs like that did for you, which I hope you captured all of those, because, you know, the memory of, even of what you were saying about, you know, I love that she took that time for herself, like what that modeled for you. You know, we start to see that on top of the memories are other things that we love. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the humor, I mean, I love to insert some humor, and you'll see, because we'll do a prompt around that. But like when you said like, oh, she even put up with my brothers, you know, like you could write that in and it's really fun, you know, especially if you end up sharing it with them. I'm sure that would make them laugh, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did anybody else want to share what dropped in? Yeah, Beth.
Actually, the first thing was like two things at once. Sweetness was like right at the forefront. And I also was thinking about in trying to connect to life before dementia, and even during dementia, actually, the thing when I think about looking at her, even when she didn't know me, her eyes like reflected back love, like she knew she was supposed to. Like that was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was there no matter what. even on her worst days. It was when she saw me, she lit up, even if she didn't know why.
Beth, that you just articulated it beautifully. Oh, right? I mean, what I heard is that she lit up as soon as she saw you. Her eyes reflected love, you know, no matter what. That was just like, that was just who she was. Like she almost just radiated love. Yeah. And I'd love to just have, what is one example of the sweetness?
I would say like 100% of the time, her immediate thought was, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Like it was a sweetness and kindness that was just, she just like, it oozed out of her. She was just always nice.
Wow. 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 Yeah, so I love that too, you know, and that language is so wonderful, you know, it just oozed out, sweetness oozed out of her. Like, and also I just love that her first thought is always, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Like already, like again, like what an amazing, amazing person. I can already feel her, right? It's so beautiful. Yeah. And what I especially love was dropping in for me, just as you were talking, which is that, you know, your mom may not have ever thought that this group of strangers would get to have the ripple effects of her sweetness. You know, like she maybe never ever thought, oh, I'm going to impact these people. And to me, it's one of the most beautiful things about legacy, like that we don't know, we really don't know. But that I hear you say that. I hear you say her first thought was always, how could I help, or what could I give you? And I'm different because of that, you know, and I never met her, but I am meeting her, you know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Kathleen wrote, which I just love. This is also, it's so beautifully specific. That was just so beautiful, Kathleen. Richard was just like that Carpenter's song, They Long to Be Close to You. He was so charming and charismatic that everyone flocked to him and wanted to be around him. I love that song too, so I know exactly what you're saying. And that's just so beautiful. I mean, I love that. I like to think people can hear. I mean, I don't know what goes on after people die, but I sure like to think that people like that he can hear this right now. That was such a beautiful tribute. Anyone else before we move on to the next prompt?
I'm sorry. I just was thinking as I'm doing this for my aunt that I was so close with, and thinking, oh, I would love to share it with her children, who I'm very close to. But they didn't have the same relationship I had. And it's almost like looking at how different people are different with different people, you know? So I'm doing this for me, I think, not so much to share it, but I never really thought about how different, well, I know how different they viewed their mom than I did. And, you know, but anyway, it was just a very strong thought that I wonder if other people have feelings that you may love someone and somebody else feels they're so abrasive or something. It's just who your beings are next to that person.
Loretta, I'm so glad that you brought that up. And you know, it's certainly something that, you know, you may or may not share it with them. But I've found sometimes, I used to do these collections of love lists for people where different people would all write about the same person as a gift. And it was amazing, just like you're saying, like how there were similarities sometimes, but sometimes they were totally different relationships. And sometimes it can be really helpful for people to get to see how, like for instance, how you loved her versus their relationship. So I wouldn't rule it out, you know, because sometimes what it does is it really expands, even after someone has passed away, it can expand how someone feels about someone. But I really appreciate what you're saying about, first and foremost, you're doing it for you. But since Loretta just brought that up, I do want to just plant the seed that it can be a really beautiful gift if there are other people that you know who really do love this person that you're writing about, to share the love list with them, and in fact even to ask if they want to add to it, as a way for them to also have a little bit of this experience. And so depending on what the relationships are, just to consider that it can be a really, really lovely gift. I will often send, let's say that somebody's father died and I knew him, I might send my own little mini love list of 2 or 3 things that I loved about him to, my friend, the daughter, the son. And it can be a sweet thing to share. All right, let's go on to our second prompt. Our second prompt is, what was one of their favorite sayings or something kind of unusual or quirky that they always did? And it could be, something simple like a habit that they had, but a lot of people have a little bit of a signature saying that or something like that. So again, this could be just like a sort of a ritual or a habit or something quirky or unusual. And as I was thinking about my grandma, Eva, the thing that dropped in is that we played cards together a lot. That was something that our family always did. And it wasn't something she said, but when she had a good hand, or she wanted us to think she did, she would whistle this certain little tune, which unfortunately I can't remember what the tune is, but I can see her whistling it. And so that was kind of a signature thing. And I loved that because it was also, again, it was kind of a little girl kind of place for her that we didn't really get to see that kind of playfulness very often. Does anybody have something they would share? Yeah, Beth.
This one just has me smiling about her thinking about her sayings and her quirky habits, which is great. The first thing that came to my mind were some of her sayings, and one of her lifelong things was okie dokie. Oh, okie dokie. Just
Low.
two.
Just a little bit.
Oh wait.
What was
I'm
that?
sorry.
All right, Beth, I'm gonna mute you, honey. Sorry, go ahead, Beth.
That's okay. To the extent that I actually chose to put it on her headstone. I was always, I don't know how to say this. I was overseas when my grandfather died, her dad. And they had like this joke with him, like this little inside joke. They buried him in a special pair of socks. It was like silly, and I missed out on that. And I like wanted something like that. And so I put okie dokie on her headstone.
Beth, you did? Oh, I love that.
I did. And
that is so wonderful.
I thought, is this okay? Is this right? What do people think? And I thought, who cares? Like, this is my mom. Like, this is my person. I can say whatever I want. And she would love it. And the other thing, which also happens to be on her headstone, and someone else said this, it may have been Dana. One of the things that she used to always say was someone was a beautiful soul. Like, she said that all the time. So I put that on her headstone as well. And I put it in French, which is a whole long story, but that was like my parting thing, like, that I wanted to share with her, were those things. And the other thing was just her quirky habit isn't such much a quirky habit, she was just so, like, she had I named her, I gave her a nickname. It was Martha June. And it was, I used to tell her she was a combination of Martha Stewart and June Cleaver.
Oh, Beth, that's so great.
It just makes me feel so good to connect to that, because she used to just laugh at herself about it. And I'm like, Mom, you're just too good to be true. Like, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things. So anyway.
Did you capture all of that? Because that was a lot of really great stuff.
I know, too much maybe, but it really made me smile. That was a good thing.
Not too much, no. And one thing I want to say about the headstone, the okie dokie, again, like, think about I walk around sometimes looking at the headstones, and just think about, if you walked by a headstone and you saw okie dokie, wouldn't you just immediately think, I wish I knew that person, right? Like, you just know there's someone you want to know. And I think that's so touching. I love that.
It was special. She was even able to say it well into her disease, even at the end. It was like, she somehow like made that connection, and I gotta go now, Mom. Okie doke. So
that's so great.
Thank you.
Yeah, capture as many of those as you can. That was so wonderful. What a wonderful grouping. Yeah. Kathleen says Richard had at least one nickname for everyone he met. Oh, I love that. That is I think that also speaks volumes, right, about who someone is. The connection to people, to have a nickname. Who else would be willing to share? Did anybody have trouble with that one? Did anybody not come up with anything? Or everybody has something? Okay, we'll go on to our...
I'm just going to say something real quick that it's nothing funny, but my aunt shared we had a lot of likes that we shared together. In fact, my mother was quite jealous of my relationship with my aunt, which was very difficult for me, but that's okay. But we took herbal walks together. We went, we were both doing like psychic stuff. I mean, there was just a blending of a spirit that was there. And she took me to her herbal doctor when I was late 20s. And I continued to go to this man long after. And his office is the one that's responsible. I'm just realizing this right now as I'm writing it, for my son Blake's birth, because nobody could figure out what was wrong. And it was a nurse practitioner in this man's office that figured out what it was. And so at 44, I had my first natural born child. I have an adopted child. But I never connected that she was the one that took me to this man's office. So that is really special to me. That's something that really is special.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
So I just wanted to share that.
I'm so glad. And I also, then what happened was that, sort of what Sonia was saying earlier, that it's like, you sort of open the door, and it's amazing then how things come in and what connections get made. And to have that beautiful, almost like a brand new gift from her, it's how I see it. Like, it's almost like that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wrote down took herbal walks together, shared Dr. Schachter equals Blake. That's what I put.
Wow.
So it equaled my.
Wow.
So that was neat, and I'm really.
Loretta, that's also like, it's such another beautiful example of a legacy that we may never understand or know, right? Like when she was taking you to that office, I don't know if did she ever know?
She knew I had Blake, yes, she knew. But I don't think I ever brought it up that it was the doctor she took. I don't think I ever made that connection for her.
Oh.
You know, this is really just right now.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope she can hear, and maybe she's having a good smile over that. Or maybe she knew. That's the other thing we don't really know, right?
Yeah, you don't know why people do what they do, and it's
exactly.
You know, there's no coincidence, right?
I love it. I love it. And Joe, I want to ask you something. You're chatting with me privately, and I don't know if that's intentional, but I want to share what you said, and I don't want to do it if it's private. So will you message me and let me know if I can share what you wrote, because it's so fun. I'll give Joe a minute and see if I hear. Oh, thank you. Yay. Thanks, Joe. So here's what Joe wrote. I love this. It's so fun. Like these like very particular things that people say or do. So Joe says, cookie things. My grandmother called things, what do you call it? Smooshed into one long word when she couldn't remember the name of something. And now we all say it. It evolved through the years to, well, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Joe. What you come? It was her catch cry and such a treasured fun memory. She says I got it right. What you come? I love that. I love that. The other thing that is dropping in for me as we're doing this, and it's one of the things I loved when I was making what I called celebration books. So I would gather these sorts of things from lots of people. But again, it's that the things that we love about people are just innately like who they are. And they're usually like things like that. Like, I just love that. I love her grandmother from this. But when we're all going through our lives, we often think we have to get this award, or we have to do this, or we have to achieve this. And oftentimes we think that the things that make us lovable are these external accomplishments and successes. But that really, like, as we're all talking and you guys are so wonderfully sharing, it just points out that we just love people because of who they are, right? Like, we just love them because the funny words they use, or just their sweetness, or just that we feel their love, or when we walk into the room, their eyes light up. And I always love doing these because it reminds me of that. We don't have to work so hard in our lives because who we are is so lovable. And it's a gift. Again, I have to keep saying this, when you feel like sharing things like this, it's such a gift to me to, they're reminders, and also we get to just feel the love. So anyone else before we go on to the next prompt? All right, so our next prompt is, what physical attribute about this person do you love? So I think this one's really important because it may be that the people that we're making the love list for aren't physically here anymore, but that we can remember the physical connection and we can love that physical connection. And yeah, well, I'll let you have some few moments of quiet to really think about. So something physical about this person. Oh, I love this. Kathleen says, Richard was 6'5", 6'5", and I fit so nicely underneath his arm when he put it around me to give me a hug. Ah, so beautiful. I can almost feel it's like so wonderful. That's a really beautiful one, Kathleen. I was thinking about my my grandma Eva. Every night she would, and maybe some of you know this, but she would like roll her, I don't even know what she would roll it in, like not paper, I guess it was fabric. I don't know what she'd roll it. She would make her curls by wrapping something in her hair. And so when we would watch a movie or something, it was actually really cute. You know, it's like, again, like I don't usually think of hers this way, and it's really nice to have that, but it's like she had all these little funny things sticking out of her head because of those curlers. Rafina, I hear this. It's like overall, if you want to send me a message, and you can let me know if it's okay to talk about or if you prefer not to. Is it okay to talk to you this way? Are you, because I think this would be actually really helpful for people. It's all right. So Rafina was saying that she's finding it difficult to find something to love. And I'm so grateful to you, Rafina, that you're willing to say that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up in the group is because that happens sometimes, right? And I really appreciate that you said that. Do you want to just tell us just a sentence or two? I forget, it's your sister, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would that be all right? Would you share just a sentence or two about her, who she is to you?
I'm finding that very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because the relationship is so strained, I am finding it very hard.
Was it strained when you were little children?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because sometimes when we're, and I think it's so beautiful that you're doing this, you know, that you set out to do this. And that can be really hard, right? When we're having a really estranged relationship. Sometimes what can help is if we're able to see something we love about this person in an entirely different setting. Like I'm estranged from my father. He abandoned us when I was really little. And I challenged myself one time to make a love list for him. But we didn't really have a relationship because he wasn't there. And most everything I felt was like sad and angry. But what I was able to do was to kind of go outside of our relationship and to say, like, you know, I love that you love nature. I love that you love to go camping. I love that you have this joy that comes forth when you're boating. Like some things I knew about him that weren't really our relationship, but it was able to open a little door to love. You know, I don't know if that helps at all. Like if you know of, you know, work she does that she loves, or she has, like with my grandmother, it's a little bit of a stretch to find things, but when I thought of her garden, and I thought, oh yeah, you know, that's a beautiful thing, despite all of the hardships. And I don't know if there are things like that, like if she loves a particular art form or books, or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes if we have to go outside of, maybe usually the love lists are about a relationship, but if the relationship is hard, maybe we have to go outside of the relationship and find some things we love that exist in that person's life that maybe don't have anything to do with us. But it's still, it's opening the door, and I still like believe that it will allow the subconscious to maybe work on it and kind of maybe come up with some more things. Yeah. Does that help at all?
Yeah, yeah.
I so appreciate your willingness to bring that up. Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to say hi, Gail. I saw that you came in. I hope you weren't out waiting for a long time. I was so involved in our workshop, I wasn't really paying attention to the waiting room. If you wanted to say hi, hello.
Hi, I'm sorry. I was in the yard and forgot about it. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We're glad you're here. Let me just fill you in quickly that what we're doing is I'm giving people prompts and we're making what I call a love list, which is the reasons why we love someone. And is this something that you feel comfortable just kind of jumping in where we are?
Sure.
Huh? Okay. Do you have in mind someone that you're making a list for?
No, I just thought it sounded interesting, and I've had a lot of loss in my life and stuff, and thought I'd check it out.
So maybe just in this moment, I mean, we're really sort of mostly toward the tail end, but maybe if there's someone, just one particular person drop in that you would just like to focus on for right now.
No, I haven't heard enough to do that.
Okay, well, maybe what we'll do, yeah, maybe what you'll hear. So our prompt right now, we're on the third prompt, and it was, people are talking about a physical attribute that they love. And for instance, I shared about my grandmother and her curlers. Would someone be willing to share so we can give Gail a taste of what we're doing? So, yeah, Sonia and then Beth? Yeah, Sonia, you go first.
Sure. I'll share about my mom. Gail, my mom had dementia, and she passed away 4 years ago from that. And one of the things physically before all of that was just she just gave the best hugs. And oh, this is sparking another memory. So I'm almost 6 feet tall. My mom was not. My mom's like 5'4". So when it would be time for, like, I'd be home visiting from college, and it'd be time for me to drive back, she would stand on the bottom step and make me come over to her so we could be on the same eye level. I forgot about that.
Oh.
So it's just, she just always gave the best hugs. And, you know, I was in sports, and she drove hours and hours every weekend to come see me in these sports. And I just love that feeling of seeing her physicality, like that lightness, and it's like it's home, you know, that's just like coming at you for the big hug. And then in the later years, you know, when you know, with dementia, she was very, very advanced, total care very early on.
Yeah.
We still did the hug thing. That was always really important to me. And anytime it was time for a transfer, like I was very physical and did a lot of those cares with her. I used all those opportunities to give her a big old hug when I was like pulling her up, and we would have a big hug. And when I was trying to, then she got more advanced, and, you know, I had to be aware of how long I was kind of having her stand. So I was like, well, I'll just I'll get her set up on the side of the bed. And I just went in real close and would hug her, and she'd lay her head right on my chest. and it's like we just still got that time. And it's just really important to be very intentional about that, and to still have that time with her no matter what changes happened.
Oh, Sonia, again, there are so many in there. I hope you captured all, like, so many, right? Like, I love that. And again, that detail of her wanting you to come to her when she was on the step, right? Like, it just is so beautiful. It's so specific. And I love that. I love that. Beth, what were you going to say?
Speaking of her eyes again, there was two quick things. She had the most unusual, beautiful eyes I have ever seen. They were hazel, and she had little like black flecks in the iris, in the hazel. I've never seen anything like it. They were stunningly beautiful when I think back on them. And the other thing I loved so much about her was her singing voice. When I was a little girl, I used to say, Mom, you should just go be an opera singer. And she was like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, it was just very funny. She had the most unbelievably beautiful voice. Those are the two things that I thought of. So
yeah. Well, and again, you know, just sort of talking about making the list, you know, like I love that because you could do that thing of like, oh, you know, I loved your hazel eyes with the black or however you would describe them, you know, and I loved your singing voice. And then you could also say, you know, on the next line, gosh, I just love that you should have been an opera singer, you know, like you can bring in, because just that detail also brings you into it in a certain way, right? And it brings in your relationship in such a beautiful way. Like, I just love that. Must have just made her like just laugh, you know, to hear that. Yeah. Did anybody else want to share something physical? Okay, we'll go on to our next prompt, and hopefully, Gail, you'll kind of get a sense of what we're doing. Our next prompt is there something that was kind of yours with this person? Like it might be a special ritual or somewhere that you always went or how you always celebrated an occasion. It might just be something that, you know, like when Loretta was talking about going for the walks with her aunt to, you know, the herbal walks. So, but it's just something that's really uniquely yours with this person. And I love it. For those of you who have been posting in the chat, thank you. It's really fun. I encourage you whenever you feel like it to do that. It's really lovely to have your participation. What came up for me as I think about my grandma Eva is that one of the rituals that we had that I really don't even know if I've appreciated so much until this moment. Like, I think that's the other interesting thing. I don't think I've ever talked about this out loud, but at night we would go, she loved sitting out in lawn chairs a lot. That was her overlooking the garden. And at night we would take blankets out and listen to the night sounds. And just thinking about that right now, it's like, again, like for someone who, she was kind of a rough and tumble person, but it's so beautiful, like that we would listen. And what I know now are mourning doves, that sound. I know, I'm just thinking she would always call them owls, like, and I thought they were owls, right? Because they would make that sort of sound. And it's really beautiful to think about. Like, so that was something that we shared, just the two of us. Does someone have a ritual or just, oh, Kathleen says, oh, I love this, Kathleen. She said this is related to the nicknaming thing. We had a bit of our own language created by him. He created funny words for all sorts of things. Cheeseburgers were cheesy melties. Burger King Whoppers were whoopers. Oh, Kathleen. Oh, I just love that. I just feel like just from the few things you've shared, we're just like getting such a beautiful sense of his playfulness and that sort of whimsy. I love that. Cheesy melties, whoopers. Someone else have one that you would share? Okay, we'll go on to our next and our last prompt. And I just realized we're just a minute away from when we were supposed to end. I'm so sorry. I was so enthralled with this. We'll do our last prompt, and then I understand if anyone has to hop off, but if you could stay a few extra minutes, that'd be lovely too. Our last prompt is about humor. And I had mentioned to you earlier that it's lovely because oftentimes in relationship, humor is one of the things that, just like what Kathleen was saying, you know, that was a great example where we sort of, there's like our own humor, and it's a way that we connect to people. So is there an inside joke that you share, just the two of you, or a funny story that you might tell about this person? And again, you know, if it's a sort of relationship where it's estranged or difficult, I know that that's going to be kind of hard, but it might be, maybe there's maybe some sort of humorous story that you can think of about her, or maybe not. You know, that might be a really tough one. But normally, just so when, especially if we're making a love list that we're going to give to someone who is alive still, it can be really nice to layer it with sweet things and nostalgic things, and then something funny, because it kind of lightens it up, especially because even for ourselves when we're doing these now for people, hopefully, like I can see like the different ways you guys have brought in humor there. It adds a certain a different kind of connection that is lighter, and it's really lovely. So my example with my grandma, which again is something that I'm glad dropped in, because I haven't really thought about this much, but she liked, there was a singer way back when named Engelbert Humperdinck, and she would play his music. Loretta, do you know Engelbert? Because you look like—
It's not that long ago.
It feels like forever, because I was
age. I'm sorry.
Do you know Engelbert then?
Yeah, I mean, he was popular maybe 60s, you know, not that old.
Okay, Joe also says I know him. Do you mean you know him, Joe, or you know of him? Because if you know him, that's even better. You know of him. Because I was like, you could tell him if you knew him, you could tell him this. So my grandmother would call him Engelbert Humperdinckle, and it would just crack her up. And it's so great. Like, this is the beauty of doing these lists, because when I think of my grandmother, I think of kind of those like hard things. And it's kind of lovely to think that she had that part of her that she would say, oh, I just love Engelbert Humperdinckle, you know. So Joe, too bad. If you knew him, you could tell him that. So I would love to hear, does anybody have a humor to share? Humor that you shared, or that about that person? Beth, yeah.
Bar none, the biggest crush of my mother's life was Richard Gere. She talked about him like constantly. It was so funny. And even into the early stages of her dementia, when we had caregivers in the house, like she would talk to them about it. And we used to like his movies, but her last Christmas at home, two of her caregivers bought her this like 9x14 glossy of Richard Gere for Christmas. And I hung it in her room at the nursing home. And the nurses and the STNAs and everybody just used to think that was the greatest thing, and they used to tease her about it. And I'm not sure she understood after a while, but it was just awesome. She would laugh, and she knew it was silly, and like she'd be like embarrassed. It was just so cute.
Oh, Beth, that is precious.
Richard Gere.
Yes.
I have in the living room now. I have Richard Gere in the living room, that same picture, because it just makes me laugh.
Okay, you've got to do this for me. I know we don't know each other. We just met, but I want you to take a selfie with that Richard Gere photo and send it to me, okay?
100%. Absolutely.
That'll make me I love that. And again, everything about that your mom, even when she wasn't quite sure anymore, but that she knew it was, she knew it was sweet and funny.
And I will also send you, I have a photograph of her opening the gift. And so I will send that to you too.
I love that. I love that. Oh, what did Joe say? Joe said, when my youngest cousin was born, my grandmother would chase us all around the backyard with the wet cloth nappies. She would chase us around the backyard with the wet cloth nappies, telling us urine was good for our skin. It sounds gross, but at the time, hilarious and equal parts horrifying to a bunch of young children. Oh, Joe, that's just great. I can almost just see it, you know? That's just so great. And another, it's just such an example too of something so specific that I loved that. That's really great. Rafina.
One picture that comes to my mind is my sister used to sing in a 5-star hotel, and she used to go there with my uncle who was a musician, and she would be all dolled up with beautiful gown and 6-inch pencil heels, and my uncle would make her cross the railway tracks so that they could get to the train in time. And I can just picture her, lifting the gown and picking her shoes in her hand. And she was very, very prim and proper. And she had to do this with my uncle, which was would have been a funny sight to see on a crowded platform.
Yes. Oh, I love that came to you. That's so perfect. That's so great. And if you were going to phrase it, I love ... What is it that you love about that image?
Just her running on the tracks.
Yeah.
She was never game to do anything that was challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's great. Kim, hello. I saw that you just joined us. We are just kind of wrapping up, but I wanted to let you in and say hi, and that I'm glad you're here. If you want to say something, if you want to say hi, and you don't have to.
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
I unfortunately got the time wrong.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Will a recording go out?
I will. You know what? I'm glad you said that. I actually forgot to ask you guys. I am recording, but I forgot to ask if that's okay. So if it's not okay, tell me now. And I'll totally understand. And I have, Kim, if it's not okay with anybody here, I have one from the last time I did this.
Okay.
You guys all okay with that?
Yes.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kim, I'm so glad you came by. And yes, I'll send out the recording then. Thanks that people are willing. So did anybody else want to share that last? I'd love to hear, since this was our last prompt. Anybody? All right, well, why don't we wrap up? And first of all, thank you so much. I always mean it when I do say that it's perfectly fine to come and not share and, just to listen and make your list. But as you can see, it's so wonderful when people do share little snippets and stories. And for me, one of the most powerful things about doing these in a group is that sense of really getting to fall in love with different people, and seeing how just lovable people are. Like, we really are lovable. And I think often when we're going about our days, we can forget that, right? Sometimes we can forget that in the rush of everyday life. Oh, okay. That's okay, Gail. I'm glad you're here. For me, what's so important is to remember, right, that we are all here for a fleeting time, and we don't know how long we have. And we've all lost people we love, and we know that a lot of times it happened way too soon, you know, that we felt, even if they lived a long life, it felt like it was too soon. And so I always like to just put it out there that I hope that what you leave with, besides this beautiful, you know, tribute and celebration for someone you love, is also just that, also just to have that thought in your head that, you know, whenever possible, to tell the people that are in your life right now, those little things that you love. You know, when someone says that thing that they always say, that your best friend always does, that your child, you know, who that person is, like to try to say to them, "Ah, I just love it. You know, I love that about you. I love that." And if you feel compelled to make love lists for people, I have a book that's called Say It Now. And that's like the biggest thing for me, is really to encourage people to not wait. Because as wonderful it is to do what we're doing here, which is to love and honor the people who have passed away, there are also so many people right in front of us who desperately need to be seen and to be loved. And we can do that for them with our words. You know, it's one of the best gifts. And oh, Beth, thank you. I just saw that your question. Yeah, you should have my email. But why don't I'll just tell you, thanks anyways, thanks for asking about that. In case anybody wants to, you know, find out more or tell me more about the person that you're writing, if you want to send me your list, I love that. My email is Sherry, just like my name, SHERRY, at simplycelebrate.net. Actually, I should just put that I'll just put that in the chat here. If you guys are all okay with it, and you could, maybe this is a better way than I won't put that in chat, but I would love to send you some additional prompts that you can use so that if you would want to continue, I would really be excited if you wanted to keep working on this or you wanted to create one for someone else. I would love to do that. And if you don't want me to, just hit reply on the Zoom email that I sent you today and just say, you know, don't contact me and I won't. But, oh, Joe, that's so beautiful. Yeah, what I would also love to ask you as a favor is that one of my big goals in my life is that I really want to inspire people to make these love lists. I've seen how impactful they've been for me. Hopefully you've had a little taste of it today. And I will also, in the email I send you, there's a link to where you can just, takes about 20 seconds to log in and just say that you made a love list, because I'm starting a counter. Oh, kitty, I love Beth's kitty. I'm starting a counter and I would really love to inspire 1 million love lists in my lifetime. And it's only just gotten started, so there's only like 60 up there. So I need all of you. If you would be willing to do that for me, I'd be so grateful. I'll put that link in. Thank you, Joe. So yes, Lena, you'll definitely get the replay and all of the everything. So before we go, and I thank you for staying over. I'm sorry that I went late. Did anybody want to say anything, or did you have any questions? Did I leave you with any lingering anything? All right, let me ask you. Yeah, Sonia.
I just wanted to say that I do have your book.
Oh,
and
I love that, Sonia.
But like, you know, you get a book and you have expectations for what you think it's going to be. And I found it to be just so much more than what I expected. Oh. And you just can't regret expressing to people, you know.
I love that. Thank you.
It's very well done. Beautiful.
Thank you for saying that. I so appreciate. And it's really, that means a lot to me. Thank you. well, Bev, are you talking to us? Because you're muted. How come you can't unmute?
Oh, there it is. I bought your book too, and the next step would be to start reading it.
That would be an awesome next step, Bev.
Yes.
But I appreciate very much that you bought it. And I do there are a lot more prompts in the book. I do talk about the love list in the book, among many other gift ideas that are like this. So if you like this sort of thing, yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, I will let you all go. I just thank you again. The biggest reason I do this is like, it is such a gift for me. It is such a gift to get to meet you, to get to meet the people you love, and to hear some of these things. It's just really wonderful. Thank you. And I hope we meet again. Stay in touch, okay?
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.